have warned you guys we're probably going to have a special guest here in a few minutes. And when I mean special, I mean a little tiny guest.
I was wondering who it could be.
Do I need to watch my language right now, or
not right now?
When the guest joins, I should watch my language.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, it would be preferred.
So the guest is small, but not so small that language would not matter. So
correct.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The smallest one is sound asleep. Right. I hope at least.
Nice.
Yeah. The other ones are up baking my birthday cake actually right now.
Oh, hell yeah. That's right, everyone. So, Colin's got a big birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah.
Halfway to 40, baby.
I know. Fucking crazy. Oh my god. Jesus.
Getting old. Old as dirt.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. But before that, we have a super fun episode today. Among many other things, I'm going to dive in with just a couple housekeeping notes. First off, Valentine's Day sucks. I hope you guys agree with me. But tell me, because you're both in relationships now, so maybe you disagree. I'm not going to give you time to do that right now, but I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. Matt, did you see the beer that I tagged you in on Untapped?
No, I didn't. Oh no, I'm not up.
I went to the Queen City Brew Fest on Saturday with Toddy.
I saw you guys were there.
Yeah, my parents got us tickets for Christmas, and so they came into town, watched the girls, and we went to the fest. It was, I thought, even better this year than last year when I went with a friend of the podcast, Dalvin. And anyway. There was a beer from Resident Culture, which is kind of like a low-key, pretty decent, especially for IPAs. I really like it. And we used to go there much more often when we lived in Plaza Midwood because it was right on the main drag in Charlotte here. We don't go there quite as often, but we found the booth and they had an IPA. And so I started drinking it, and immediately I'm like, wow, this is different than any other drink I've had all day, and everything. Like, this is really good. And so I look it up because it's, busy, so I'm not hanging around the booth, very long or anything. But I get the name, I look it up. It's a fucking collab with Other Half. It's called
Sleeping on the Blacktop. Yeah.
Yep. I called the brewery yesterday to see, because I went online, and it doesn't look like they have any. And so I called the brewery. They didn't have any at the Plaza location. I haven't had a chance to call the South End location. I've seen on Untapped there's like a beer store that it was verified that you can get it at. But I'm really going to try to find at least 1 4-pack so I can send you guys a couple each and everything. And if there's more than 1 4-pack, I'll get one for myself too. But it was so good. But I just couldn't believe that it was Other Half. I was like, no way. Of course. It was just so cool.
Colin, the way your birthday worked, we're supposed to send you stuff. You're not supposed to send us stuff.
Well, I mean, this is just coincidental timing that, Brewfest is, they always do it. It's like a Super Bowl Saturday thing. Like, that's their thing, which in the Super Bowl happened, especially even now because it's pushed back later. It's always the weekend before my birthday, it seems like. So, yeah, it was fucking incredible, but I just wanted to give that quick beer update before we talk about our actual beers. And real quick, my last housekeeping item before I forget, I just want to give a shout out to cousin Greg through his first career 300. And
woo!
Yeah, I'm a long ways off from ever getting there, so I don't even know what it would feel like.
What's your high score, Colin?
In the 250s, 260s.
I mean,
that was 10 years ago.
That's still pretty fucking impressive.
So
earmuffs.
Yeah. Oh, that's
hello.
That's rather impressive. Hi, Stella.
Right.
Oh, hey, Toddy.
What's up?
You can say something in the mic.
We were just having an awesome time making Dada's birthday cake.
Ooh, fun.
Are you allowed to tell us what flavor? What kind of cake?
What kind of cake was it?
Cookie.
Cookie
Ooh,
cake.
Ooh, yum. The
what else
best.
was in it, though?
M&M's.
Well, they're Reese's Pieces.
Ah, okay. Nice.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yum, yum, right?
That's going to be really good. What's your favorite kind of cake?
Cookie cake.
Cookie cake? All right, good.
Yeah.
Just like Dada, huh?
In July, he made me a cookie cake.
That's true for your birthday.
Yeah.
You made your
July,
cookie
Awesome.
I did. Because your birthday is every July, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
Amazing.
buddy, should we say good night?
No, I need to talk.
I think you got to say good night.
Good
Good
night.
night, Stella.
We love you, buddy.
Tell me how the cookie cake is.
Will do. Bye.
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 Yeah, I mean, it's a good score, like you said, Ethan, but I think that's only like ripping off the first 7. Like you're not even into the, like the 8th inning,
Okay.
type thing where you're really feeling the pressure
Yeah.
of a perfect game
Right,
and everything.
right.
So
I was going to say that for the listeners out there, our high school used to be co-located pretty close to a bowling alley. So once a year, gym class would have a bowling unit where since gym classes were, blocks were 86 minutes long, there was enough time for everyone to load up into a bus, drive to the bowling alley, get shoes and bowl. And if you were like me, who had to rig the system for everything, our gym class had an odd number. So I would always just go to the end of the alley. They'd make you pair up, but I was like, wow, I guess I'm going to be the single one today. And I'd go and bowl as much as I could. And again, I'm not nearly the bowler that Colin is, but that's the best I've ever done, was 7 strikes in a row to start a game. And Coach Spataro, the football coach, was my gym teacher, and he walked over behind me without me knowing. And right as I'm, addressing the line and getting ready to roll number 8, he just says, "Don't mess up." And what do you know? What do you know?
Wow.
So I think I ended up, like a 240 was like, I just, after that, just tanked.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
It's such a letdown,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Like
you feel that pressure, and then
like
you miss one. And...
by 5 and 6, I was like, I've never done this well. Like I've never gotten more than 4 strikes in a row. What's going on? And I mean, I don't even bowl all that great. Like I just kind of palm it, and then just like it almost looks like I'm two-handing it. Just I don't swing the ball. I don't do anything. I kind of like underhand shot put it, and spin it a little bit.
I just whenever I think of bowling now, I think of there's a Parks and Rec episode where there's a bunch of bowling, and Colin, you have seen it. I don't know if Matt saw it, but Ron Swanson talks about how he does like straight down the middle, no frou-frou spins, anything more, and it becomes figure skating. And then Tom Haverford bowls. He goes and he like kneels down at the line and rolls it with 2 hands. And he does an amazing job. I haven't gone bowling in years, but next time I think I'm going to try the Tom Haverford method.
Love it. All right, boys. Well, what are we drinking then? Let's talk about our beers.
Let's start with Ethan. I want to go last.
Okay, so I don't have anything, but it's for a good reason. So obviously I'm 2 hours behind you guys, so it's a little earlier for me. And so after the pod, I have 2 bottles of Casey in my fridge. So my partner and I are going to open one of them after the pod and have one with dinner. I said to her, I was like, what if I have I have my first glass on the pod and then I have my next glass with you afterwards? And she was like, no way. Like the amazing Casey beers, you have to drink them with me, and that's that. So the law was laid down there. But yeah, so I'll be having my Casey afterwards. So nothing during for today.
Do you remember what you have?
Yeah, so I got 2 bottles. So there's this bar in town that has like amazing selection, and one of them is the Perfection Apricot.
Okay, that'll be good.
That was it was bottled in August of 22, and I actually have had that one before. I bought that one in December. They've been carrying it for a while now, and it was amazing. But I figured it's been a while, and I wanted to get it again. And then the second one is the one they've also been carrying that I haven't tried yet. It's the Funky Blender Preserves with Apricot and Vanilla.
Ooh, okay.
And I think that one was bottled in 21. So yeah, that one I haven't had. So I'm very curious. But like we've talked about, I mean, I've had probably 4 or 5 now, and every single one of them I think has just been like amazing.
Yeah. If they have, at least they'd had a series called the Family Preserve series. It was all sorts of berries and all like jammy stuff. And I think they do a beer with Side Project out of St. Louis called Jammy. that's just
cool.
amazing. So yeah, they're consistently hitting home runs, and I think they might still be on brewery only releases. They will occasionally do an IPA.
Oh, no shit. Interesting.
And like you would expect, they're one of them. Like, oh, they're doing an IPA, it's gonna be good. Like, oh shit, like it's gonna be good.
Right.
So I've only been lucky once or twice to get one of their funky beers when they're or as beer snobs would call it, one of their clean beers.
Clean beers.
Yeah, non sour, funky are called clean. So I've only ever had a couple of their clean beers, but very good as well. So
yeah,
I
nice.
almost had a sour tonight. I've got a peach 3 Fontaine, but it's like 7.5%. I didn't want to dome the whole bottle by myself tonight on the pod.
Peach one. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to hear about that when we have it. So you mean like one of the 750 milliliter bottles, like the ones that I got for New Year's? Yeah. Okay.
I've got like 5 or 6 of those kind of stashed away in my basement.
All right. Yeah, doing a whole one of those by yourself would definitely do a number, I think.
I mean, if it was like 4%, maybe.
But at 7.5.
But not 7.5. That'll have to come later.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting though. Yeah, because the ones that I had were those. I think we talked about it at the time. Were like the sour cherry and raspberry. I think.
Yep.
Which were great. But yeah, I'm super curious what the peach one will be like. That's cool. They're out of Belgium, right, Matt?
Yep, they're in Belgium.
Yeah. So, what are you guys doing? What are you guys having?
I've got another Matt Root.
Nice.
Other half. Nelson today, tomorrow, forever.
From New
Double
Zealand
dry
Hot Week, yeah.
Yep. Very, very good. I mean, I've just run out of good things to say about other half. They're just amazing.
Yep. Yeah.
Definitely jealous of you, Matt.
They, I missed a bunch of their beers recently. I've been like purposely trying to fight beer FOMO. It's like beer FOMO or gotta catch them all. It's like I'm never gonna catch them all. I gotta stop that. So I've actually been making a concerted effort to like clean out my fridge.
So that's why you turned me down when I was offering to bring you home a fancy new stout from Weldworks.
Yes,
he said that to you.
Yes.
Did you say that specifically?
Yes. Okay. So I'm trying to drink through a lot of what I got. So right now I've got 2 cans from Equilibrium.
Oh, nice.
Which
They're
is
in New
in
York.
Hudson Valley, New York.
Valley.
It's called Mobius. It's an American porter. I got it for Christmas.
Sweet.
It's very good. It's not quite my top pantheon of porters. It's got to be Founders Porter. It's just called Founders Porter.
Yeah,
is phenomenal. Like the tagline underneath. It used to have this old Victorian lady on it. I think they've changed the label now, but it would just say "dark, rich, and sexy" on it. And that's like the standard bearer for me for a good porter. But this is very good. Equilibrium's down in Middletown, in the Hudson Valley. Also a very good brewery. A lot of science and like calculus pun beers. Like this is called Mobius because it's making fun of the Mobius strip, which is like I don't even know how to describe it. Like a multi. Like it's got one side, or I don't know. Let me look it up because I'm gonna Mobius. It's like a fancy shape. It's a geometry thing. Mobius strip. It's a loop where the surface can be formed by attaching the ends of a strip of paper together with a half twist.
Okay.
And I guess there's special properties about it. Anyway.
So, Matt, really quickly, since you mentioned porters, I remember having Founders Porter back in the day and really enjoying it, but I haven't had dark beers barely at all in the last few years, but you guys will remember that for a time, about like
breakfast stout.
2013, 14, 15, I was all about dark beers, didn't like IPAs at all, and I was drinking just like stouts and porters all the time. And Matt, you will certainly remember that like one of my very favorites at the time was Edmund Fitzgerald out of Great Lakes in Cleveland. I'm wondering, have you had that at all in the last, like in recent years? Like, is it still good? Like I haven't had it in
probably not in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I want to have it again now that I'm thinking about it. I don't even see it anymore. I don't know if they don't distribute out here or what.
They don't distribute out to Colorado, I don't think.
Yeah,
I mean they're growing as a regional brewer, but
Yeah, well, because they used to be in upstate New York all the time. I mean, I used to get them at Wegmans when Colin and I were living together and stuff, and they'd be at all the local bars.
Shame on me, when we were in Cleveland a couple of years ago, I should have taken you there. We went to Fatheads instead, but
but I think but Fatheads was awesome if I recall correctly. So I don't regret it. But yeah. Anyways, just your talk of porters, I was like, oh man, I wonder if Edmund Fitzgerald is still good, because I fucking loved that beer.
Yeah, no, porters are, darker beers are an easy, like they're, even though they can be heavy and they can be alcoholic, usually more approachable than like a lip smack and IPA. So that's a path a lot of people have taken. So
yeah.
But then you get to the IPAs and it's just, there's a gazillion out there.
Yeah.
Although you're progressing nicely among the beer nerd spectrum. Now you're onto sours.
I know, it's really funny. Like, I really am kind of like following this path. I never thought that I would really appreciate sours, and I'm even getting to the point where I'm appreciating the pilsners and the lagers and
I was
shit.
say,
Like
pilsners
we were
and
talking
lagers
about.
are next, and then
like
the final, like you've achieved beer nerd status, and I'm not even quite there yet. Is barley wines, but I'm starting to drink a little bit more barley wine now. I'm going.
It's
okay.
Like so it's funny you say that, right? Because you remember that Colin and I one time randomly bought the Middle Ages barley wine when we lived together.
Like, what the hell are you guys buying that for?
And we liked it, right? Kyle, I don't know if you remember, but I remember we enjoyed it. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just like, oh, this sounds interesting, and it's a local brewery. Let's try it. And we ended up liking it. I don't think I've had a barley wine since. I don't know how I would like it now. But
when I was first starting to drink beer, there was two barley, like same thing. I bought one Sierra Nevada Bigfoot way back in like 2011, and then I also bought, Founders had a beer called Nemesis, which was a 17% like maple syrup punched up barley wine.
Jesus fuck!
And I was like, oh, these are good, like, but it's really syrupy, and like kind of never really gave much of a thought of it, to it again until later years as I drank more and more beer. So now it's sad. I use barley wines. Like, I've got a bunch of really good ones, but when I open them, I'll drink like 6 ounces, and then I'll like put the rest in the beef stew I'm making or something like that. Like, it's like beef and barley stew, right? Beef and barley wine. You just use it to boil down your meat. So the best. I did it once, and by accident, I made like the best beef stew I've ever made. So I'm like chasing that again. Like, what combination of barley wine will give me that? So
nice.
But yeah, Equilibrium's good. I've never actually visited, but this is really tasty. They're usually considered pretty solid. They do a lot of pastry stouts too, but kind of good across the board.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, I think we've had a nice runway here to our main topic, unless you guys have something else you would like to talk about before we get into 90s nostalgia.
Well, so first of all, I was just going to acknowledge that spring training is here, and baseball is back, and just how wonderful that is, and how honestly the off season feels like it went pretty quick. Like, I feel like we were just lamenting the fact that the World Series was done and we were sad, and now spring training again. Honestly, it feels like it has gone fast to me. So that's awesome.
And in relation to that, we still have, Monty is one. Monty, Snell.
Yeah, and
how many players
Bellinger,
are still unsigned?
And Chapman, right? Bellinger, Chapman, a bunch of Matt Chapman, right?
Yep, Matty Chapman.
A bunch of the top guys are still unsigned. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is
Matt was right about that when he talked about Boris.
Yep. They're gonna wait right
dragging
until
that out as long as he could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's gonna be like injuries and shit in spring training, and then some teams are gonna get desperate, and then Boris is gonna be a happy guy.
And like, what did I get there's like a certain comfort you probably want, like get your family settled and whatnot, but like they're gonna be settled before the season, like that. It's just they're not gonna have a couple months to get acclimated before the season. It's gonna be a little bit more like ramp it up quick type thing. So that's the only difference.
So I have this is related to our kind of idea of like 90s nostalgia baseball. So I pulled up Baseball Reference just to have it here so I could kind of look shit up as we were talking. And you know how Baseball Reference, when you go to the home page, there's always like a set of like 10 little thumbnail photos of guys that just randomly show up, right? And one of the guys who showed up just now when I pulled it up was Doug Mankiewicz. And And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember Mankiewicz. I always think of him as a twin, but I do remember when he played for the Yankees briefly. And so I have a trivia question for you guys. I want you to tell me what year he played for the Yankees, because I had an idea in my head and I was way off.
I'll let Matt go.
2009.
Super close.
I'm going to say 5.
Also super close. Split the difference, 2007.
Ha!
So, and only 72 games, and that was it. And in my mind, and I don't know who I'm thinking of, but I thought he was part of those teams when Colin and I were living together. So Colin and I used to always joke, right? These teams in like 2013, 2014, the rosters were just insane. And I could have sworn Mankiewicz was one of them, but I'm obviously thinking of some other people.
Qualify insane.
Those rosters?
Yeah.
Well,
Old.
insane by and just like and like random, like
insanely bad, insanely
bad. Yeah. Your Reed Brignacs, and
Vernon Wells,
and your old Vernon Wellses, and hold on, I'm gonna pull one up to remember other, because I don't know why I was thinking Mankiewicz. If that was 2007, because that was just
yeah. Well, I mean, Tex was always hurt, so there had to have been a first baseman, who played a good chunk both of those seasons.
Right. Fuck, who am I thinking of? I just had a name and then it like
John
escaped my
Olerud?
mind. Oh, I remember Olerud. Okay, so here's 2013. Lyle Overbay. That was the name that had just come to my mind. And so he played 142 games for the 2013 Yankees with an 89 OPS plus. Jason Nix, Travis Hafner at 36 years old.
Well, don't speak poorly about Hafner. He was great.
Oh, for Cleveland he was,
awesome,
but we got him when he was 36 and he had a 679 OPS that year. Right? So, yeah, those 2013, 2014 teams were just ridiculous. Robbie Cano was great that year, and Brett Gardner was actually pretty solid that year in terms of OPS at least. And other than that, it was pretty forgettable. But for some reason, I imagined Mankiewicz on those teams, but 2007. So
yeah, well, and you guys can fact check me, but I'm almost positive Mankiewicz caught the final out of the 2004 World Series. He was the first baseman for the Red Sox, and Olerud was first baseman for the Yankees in 2004. And people say a lot of different things. It's the Dave Roberts steal, the Ortiz, but I don't know what game it was, but Olerud got hurt, and that kind of changed the complexion of the series too, because he was having if you could look up his stats, I don't know if he was crushing the ball or whatever. I mean, he was pretty old by that point, but Giambi had his whatever because of his steroids. He had that really weird abdominal issue.
I forgot about
that. So they had signed Olerud, and then Giambi ended up primarily DHing toward the end of the year, something along those lines. And he had the big Game 7 in the ALCS the year before, in 2003 with the Booney walk-off. But I don't think Giambi played much in 2004, and Olerud did. And then he got hurt in Game 6 or something like that, and it might have been different, but Mankiewicz caught the final out.
Wow.
2004.
Yeah. Speaking of Olerud, so this is one of those random baseball stats that for some reason is imprinted in my brain. I don't know when or why this happened, but immediately, if I think of John Olerud, I always know he hit 363 in 1993. And he was playing for the Blue Jays at that time. I was 3 years old. There is no significance to it. I don't know why I always remember that. But I just pulled up his page to double check and make sure that I was right. And yes, I was. And then I'm just looking at the rest. He also hit 354 in 1998. And then other than those 2 years, that was with the Mets. Yep. And then other than those 2 years, his highest batting average was 302 and 300, and then a bunch of years between 260 and 290. So just really funny that basically he averaged between 270 and 300 mostly, and then just randomly 2 years 354 and 363. It's just very interesting how that works. And he wasn't exactly some huge power guy, so I don't think we can really credit that to a steroid thing necessarily, right? But I think just kind of a fluky, more of a fluky thing, but. Just thought it was
98
interesting.
was an expansion year, and so was 93, actually.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
both expansion years.
That's right. I wonder how
So,
much that has to
watered
do
down
with
pitching.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. That's an
Yeah.
interesting
I
thought.
mean, he was a good player.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Solid player.
Definitely.
Yeah. It's funny. Did you listen to the last podcast episode, Ethan?
Yeah, they mentioned him, didn't they?
No, they mentioned Mark Grace.
Oh, that's right. They were talking about Grace. Yeah.
Yeah, who also didn't have a lot of power as a first baseman, which is
Yeah.
even now, but even traditionally, like it's just not really a thing. Like first basemen are usually bashers.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
some
You're supposed
way.
to have power. Yep.
And whatever. And all I could think of, they won this game, but Grace did hit a homer in one of those, either Game 4 or Game 5 of the 01 World Series with the Diamondbacks. So he may not have had a ton of power, regularly, but he got somebody in one of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the most hits of the 90s. If we want to.
He was an excellent
90s
player.
nostalgia.
Yeah, he was an excellent player. I pulled up his page to double check. 511 doubles in his career. Like 500 doubles is an amazing accomplishment and doesn't happen that often. 303 career batting average, 825 career OPS. I mean, he was really an excellent hitter. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was a good defensive first baseman. He was a good leader, from what I know. Like he's the type of player I feel like that's getting phased out of the game. Especially the power aspect of it all. But
right,
just the consistency year after year, and somebody steady and somebody good for the clubhouse. Like they just don't hold as much value these days with the way analytics, kind of has taken over the game.
And 3 true outcomes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, who wants to kick off the nostalgia, since we just talked about the best hitter of the 90s?
Well, the most hits of the 90s.
Have to go first because it's something we've talked about before, but I'm going to go right there. The 1995 Cleveland Indians.
Oh, man.
Holy fuck. Like, again, every time I look at them, it's like they won 100 games out of only 144. That's a 113 win season.
Yeah, God, they were good.
Like, you just I mean, and there's so many things in that team that you even lose. Like, Dave Winfield was on that team, but no one remembers that. Like, I didn't remember that. And I was like,
I didn't know
shit.
that,
Yeah, Dave Winfield was on that team.
Hershiser was on that team.
Hershiser, I mean, but like their number one best pitcher was Dennis Martinez, a 41-year-old Dennis Martinez, right?
Hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
7 WAR, 5.7 WAR. Excuse me. 7 WAR was Albert Bell. Bell, Tomey, Lofton.
Was that the year, Matt? Was that the year he had 50
Manny Ramirez,
homers?
Eddie Murray, Paul Sorrento, Tony Pena, Carlos Baerga.
Oh, I meant Baerga. Speaking of 90s nostalgia, that's another one. I think it has to do with my baseball card collection. But like Carlos Baerga, for whatever, like, oh my God, that just like brings me back. Yeah, that's hilarious.
6 of their starting 9 had averages above 308.
Yeah, holy fuck.
And then on the bench, Sandy Alomar, Jeremy Burnitz, Billy Ripken. I don't know if he was actually good or not. Dave Winfield. Like, there was,
man. What were you asking about Manny, Ethan?
Oh, I was asking about Bell. I was wondering if it was 95 the year that he had 50 homers and 50 doubles.
50 homers and 52 doubles. Yeah.
Yeah. Having I think just having 100 extra base hits in general is already like rare and incredible. And I think 50 homers and 50 doubles has been done like very few times in history. I can't remember exactly, but I know that Albert Bell is like one of the few. Yeah.
Surprising though, with those type numbers, he didn't even lead the league in OPS.
Oh, interesting. Maybe he just didn't walk enough compared to, I don't know who would have been walking a bunch in 95.
Oh, okay. This makes more sense. His OPS is 1091. Edgar Martinez was 1107.
Ah, okay. Frank Thomas is a good guess too, Kyle. But Edgar
was awesome around that time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he hit 350 with he also played 2 more games than Albert, but 350 that year.
Yeah.
And must have walked a shitly 116 walks.
Holy crap. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah.
Again, in 144 games, like.
Yeah. That's amazing. That team.
I can't, like, just like they were the dynasty that never was between like 95 to 99. Like,
Yeah.
I mean the Indians and the Braves.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the Braves got one.
Yeah, only the one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You think about
teams
like
that they
Maddox,
had.
Glavine, Smoltz, and then like
Steve
Chipper,
Avery was really good.
Andrew Jones, and and you think that they only won one. Yeah,
Fred McGriff,
right. It
Javi
is pretty
Lopez,
crazy to think about. Yeah.
Mark Lemke.
Oh yeah,
the
Lemke,
Utica. Utica product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
fascinating.
Marquise Grissom was on those
Oh,
teams.
wow. Yeah, I remember him too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jermaine Dye, rookie. Jermaine Dye.
Oh, Jermaine Dye.
And in '96, David Justice. He didn't play in the '96, but I think he hit the game-winning homer in the '95 series, or the series-winning homer against Cleveland.
Yeah.
I actually it's funny, Matt, that you let off with that, because I actually wrote down the Indians and the Braves were like two of my favorite non-Yankee teams to watch. I mean, the Indians just for all that star power. It's not that the Braves didn't have star power. Like, I mean, we obviously just rattled off a bunch of names there, but it was like a little bit different. But the Braves were on TBS, which you know, back in the '90s was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, I watched the Braves all the time. I watched the Cubs all the time. You could get home from school,
and the Cubs turn WGN on.
WGN, exactly.
Yeah. And then you'd wait for the Yankee game or the Braves if the Yankees were off, or you just switch back and forth. Like,
well, but back then the Yankees were on MSG, right? And like it was, I remember like only select games were broadcast.
Yeah, so well, when the Knicks were playing like early in the season, the Knicks games would get broadcast over the Yankees, and then they would be on like something 5. I can't remember what the station was, but yeah, you didn't get all the games, even though we lived in the market, you know, and everything. But yeah, it's just so funny that those were the two teams I had written down, and I mean, Chipper was my favorite, probably my all-time favorite non-Yankee who never played with the Yankees. You know, A-Rod had that title until he got traded to the Yankees and then played, 10 years with them. But I fucking loved Chipper from the earliest days I can remember baseball. Like he was my favorite player outside of, the other players, which I'll get to when it's my turn. Sorry, Matt.
Oh no, I just I wanted to just add some context to Larry Jones.
Wow.
Look at that guy. Sorry.
Amazing.
Larry Jones, who named his first son Shea because he fucking demolished the Mets.
Oh, amazing.
For those of you guys listening, I put up a baseball card. I don't know if it's a rookie card, but he just looks like the biggest.
Like a kid.
He looks like he just came out of the
His
library.
Legs look jacked, though.
What?
Oh yeah,
his legs look jacked.
Legs are jacked, but just what are you doing there, Larry? What are you doing? Like, did you get surprised on your way into the spring training stadium and you decided you wanted to pose with some cacti? Like, I don't get this. Like, I mean, this is the '90s. I get it. Yeah, but still,
we need to send this baseball card to friend of the podcast Joe Posnanski and Mike Schur and have them dissect it on their next podcast episode, because they spend a lot of time talking about the way cards have evolved over the years, from being silly like that to like actual good cards.
Very cool, right? Yeah, funny.
That's the nostalgia I've got right now. You guys go while I think of some other stuff.
Kyle?
All right. Well, we talked about the Indians and the Braves, so I won't do too much more of that. I'll piggyback off of Chipper. Part of the reason why I loved him is because his dad was a huge Mickey Mantle fan, and Mickey Mantle was my favorite player, growing up, even though I obviously never saw him play. And he died when I was 6 years old or so. And Chipper, was a switch hitter. Probably, I don't know, what do you guys think? Probably the best switch hitter since Mickey overall. 400 something homers and
probably
played a premium position.
Well, no Bernie Williams.
I mean, Bernie had a great career, but yeah, no, yeah. Probably, yeah. I don't know if there's been a switch hitter who's been better.
Yeah, I'm just joking, by the way. For those who can't see my face.
So I always had a lot of love for him because of that. I think it helped that the Braves never beat the Yankees in the World Series, so I never had the angst of like a Luis Gonzalez, who I used to like, until the Diamondbacks beat the Yankees in the World Series, and it was like, okay, I can't be a fan of him anymore, and everything. But yeah, Chipper, his whole career, I followed him. I never like yearned for him to be a Yankee like I did A-Rod. I don't know what the difference was, but man, he was my favorite player, and got his start in the 90s and everything. So I want to give a big shout out to Chipper, and I'll talk about my actual favorite player from the 90s, and you guys know this, Mr. Chuck Knobloch, who
Oh yeah.
gets a lot of negative things said about him. And I'm not going to rehash all of that, but I will say this is probably, I mean, this is definitely me digging, but these are real things. Chuck Knobloch hit the game-tying 3-run home run in Game 1 of the 1998 World Series, a game which the Yankees won and won that World Series. In 1999, he hit the game-tying 2-run home run in Game 3 in the World Series, which the Yankees went on to win. In 2000, he hit the game-tying sacrifice fly in the 9th inning, maybe 1 out, maybe 2 outs, I can't remember, to tie the game, send it into extras. Yankees won that World Series. In the 2001 World Series, which they lost, unfortunately, he did score the winning run in Game 5, coming around from second base on a base hit by Soriano to right field. So, yeah, he had a lot of really mixed bad moments probably in between all of that. Matt's getting ready to talk about one. But yeah, I just don't see how they, maybe they win like one of those World Series or something, but I think he was a lot more important to the team than maybe he gets remembered for. Not even just like those moments particularly, but I mean, he was a catalyst. He was the leadoff hitter, had a little bit of pop, some steroids, I'm sure helped him out during those years and everything. Obviously wish the Yips didn't get him because he was on a Hall of Fame route before then, but I loved Knobloch till the final day he played in Major League Baseball, which was that next season, 2002, with Kansas City. I have that. I showed Joe Paz when I interviewed him last time. I have that cutout of the newspaper from the Syracuse Post-Standard where it says, "Knock it off, Chuck," because he had a big game against the Yanks and beat them when the Royals were like fucking awful, like even worse than some of the tanking teams these days. So, yeah, Chuck was my man. What do you got?
Ted.
Yeah. I mean, that play is just so bizarre in general, like everything that happens. I mean, the Yankees had like so many. So Matt's showing Knobloch standing at first base, arguing a call with the umpire while the ball, which is still in sight in this picture, is rolling away from him.
And live.
And it's, yeah, live. It's like the 11th or 12th inning of Game 2 of the ALCS. The Indians, which they were called at the time, had knocked out the Yankees in the playoffs the year before, so there was a lot of revenge, on the minds of the Yankees and everything, and they had won 114 regular season games. Strawberry had just gotten colon cancer, and I mean, the Yankees had so many opportunities that game to score, and they didn't. So I always hate that the blame gets like fully placed on Knobloch, because it's like there were so many moments early on where the game could have been over, and even in extra innings, they just didn't get it done. But Knobloch, yeah, what's really interesting, I'll tell the story. It's in my book as well. So Knobloch pulls the huge gaff. The ball rolls away. Enrique Wilson, a future Yankee, scores all the way from first base. He stumbles around third base. They still can't throw him out at the plate because I don't even know who retrieves the ball. If it's O'Neill out in right, or I don't even know who throws it in. I don't even know if I've ever seen that angle. But you see Enrique just slide in ahead of, I think it's Posada who's behind the plate and everything. But Knobloch denied after the game to the press that he did anything wrong. And that obviously, I mean, can you even imagine if he had done that today with social media, like what would happen to him? But, being in New York and being the playoffs and the Yankees and everything, it was still a big deal, even back in 1998. And David Cone, de facto, leader, big game pitcher, and everything, he sensed that this could be something that could destroy that legendary season that the Yankees were having. So on the plane to Cleveland between game 2 and 3, he Knobloch was like in the back of the plane, really upset. He obviously knew he did something wrong, and everything. He was just being defensive, when the reporters were in his face. But he got him like a couple beers and he said, hey, you got to diffuse this, like for the team, for us to move on and everything. Like you got to own it. And the next day, when he got up in front of the media, he owned it. He said, yeah, I messed up. It's on me, and everything. And, went away. They got crushed in game 3. So I don't know if it did really anything to lift their spirits, but El Duque bailed them out in game 4. And then they were on their way to the World Series after. But yeah, fucking Knobloch. Loved him. Still love him. He's had a lot of legal troubles in his non-playing days, but I don't know if I'll ever love any, because again, you're a kid in the innocence of it all. I don't know if I'll ever love a player as much as I did Knobloch.
And I want to add something too about all this, right? So obviously the Yankees didn't get the best of him, and there's been some stuff in his post baseball career that like Colin alluded to, that isn't the greatest or whatever. But I just want to add that like when he was with the Twins before he came to the Yankees, he was a legitimately like outstanding, like top tier player. I'm looking at, so his first 7 years of his career, and 7 years is often counted like when people will look at players like Hall of Fame cases, and they'll talk about like, okay, let's look at a player's 7-year peak. I don't actually know who decided on 7, but I know that it's like often used when people are looking at players' peaks and things. And so if you look, so Nabi played 7 years with the Twins, his first 7 years of his career before he came to the Yankees. He was ages 22 to 28. And his 162 game average baseball reference WAR was 5.4, which is like outstanding. That's all-star level every year. Like he was a really, really good player. And then obviously things kind of declined a little bit quicker than certainly the Yankees were hoping. But like that 7-year peak, those first 7 years of his career, he was really outstanding. And I think sometimes that gets lost because of all the stuff that has come afterwards, maybe. But like he was really fucking good.
Yeah. And he won that World Series with the Twins in his rookie season when he was Rookie of the Year. So
that's right.
He's got 4 rings, to his name, and
yeah,
could have been better, but
yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah. Do you want me to finish off with my last thing, or do you want to go, Ethan?
If you've got something locked and loaded, you can.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say my last thing, and we've talked about this topic because it's related to steroids, but I don't think there was anything, and again, maybe this is just because I was a kid, that home run race in 1998 is still something that I think about, and that I wonder if it will ever be replicated, if we will ever have something that magical again. Like, it was super fun when Judgy was doing it, obviously, because he was a Yankee and he's Judge and everything. But, oh, man, McGuire and Sosa and even Griffey for the longest time, that fucking race and what it did for baseball and everything, like, it was just so fun. I think that whole season was a lot of fun in a lot of ways. Obviously, the Yankees won big. You had McGuire and Sosa, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other storylines that happened that year. I mean, they it's widely regarded as a renaissance year in Major League Baseball, but just that race in particular, how fun it was to watch those guys and to check the paper every morning and see who hit a homer and who didn't and whatever. And I mean, I was actively pulling for one of them to break Maris's record, which you would think, as a Yankee fan, you wouldn't want it, broken. But I just thought it was so cool. I don't know. I didn't know any other way. And obviously I didn't know anything about the steroids, but now looking back, we know that people knew about it. But as a 9-year-old, I didn't know too much and everything. And just so fun, so innocent. I don't know if that can ever be replicated or recaptured, but that is just such a special moment when I think about that race in particular.
No, that cemented McGuire as my favorite player in the 90s, right? Like, I remember
Really?
getting. Oh yeah, McGuire was my number one favorite player for the longest time.
Wow.
Funny, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I
me
loved
neither.
him. I was enamored with the guy. I remember getting home from camping, Labor Day weekend, when the Labor Day storm rolled through and
Oh yeah,
devastated
same
upstate New
here.
York, and like hoping our power would come back on so we could watch the special games that weekend. And I think
Yeah,
that
because it was Tuesday, September 8th that he hit the number 62, so it had to be
it
real
was Cardinals
close.
Cubs, right?
Yep, because Sosa was there.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I remember like hoping we could watch it, and that would have been back then we started school on Thursdays, so we would have been home from school.
Oh yeah,
Those are the last couple days of summer vacation.
yeah.
So that just I mean I have a coffee table book that I was given to me for Christmas that year, chronicling their chase every at bat, every game, every score, the count at which they hit their home runs.
Do you still have it?
Oh yeah, it's downstairs.
Yeah,
It's on my
nice.
coffee table right now.
That's cool.
So it was big. That was really, really big. Now, looking at the stats, I don't know how Sosa beat McGuire for MVP that year.
Because the Cubs went to the playoffs.
Yeah, but McGuire was one full win better.
Yeah, but they didn't know war then.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, if you're going just by WAR, Kevin Brown, and if you're going by position players for WAR, it's Barry Bonds. So
Of course.
but Barry Bonds only finished 8th that year in MVP voting.
Yeah.
That's when he said, "Fuck you!
Yeah.
I'm gonna go full on roids."
Exactly. Yeah, and break the game. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
McGuire
Browning
averaged
was
a walk a game that year. Like OPS
Yeah.
122. I think his OPS plus was in the 200s.
McGuire's
216. What?
McGuire's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just
in the what?
his OPS plus was 216.
Holy
Yeah,
shit!
that's pretty amazing. That's
So
that's pretty
twice as good as
Bonzian.
the average hitter. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, what a year.
Yeah. Yeah, it really was.
Wow.
So
That was 98 was the year Greg Vaughn hit 50 homers. Another Brady Anderson comp.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of Brady Anderson, like that was the Brady Anderson's 50 homer season. He hit 25% or 24% of his career home runs in 1 year.
Oh my god. So ridiculous.
Was he putting him over the he was a lefty though, wasn't he? So he probably wasn't pulling him over the that short left field that they pushed back, right?
No, yeah, he wasn't doing that. He had the big wall and right. I mean, but Camden was a hitter's park.
Yeah, it's small anyway. Yeah.
But so I pulled up a steroid or a 1990s baseball summary, and it's going through everyone. Brett Boone in 2001 hit 15% of his career homers in 1 year. Luis Gonzalez hit 20% of his career home runs in 1990. Right? Like
57. Fucking doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, but this is talking 1999. Oh no, sorry, I'm wrong. That's Jay Bell. Where's Gonzalez? Where's Gonzalez? He's on here somewhere.
Because he did hit 57, in 01, I think.
That 57 was 16% of his career home run total, all in 1 year, 2001.
Oh my god.
60?
16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, whoa.
Yeah.
Sorry, the beer's getting to me.
Yeah, I had no idea Big Mac was your dude, Matt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had at a baseball camp. I won a Big Mac action figure. It wasn't MLB PA licensed, so it said Big Mac instead of Mark McGuire, and his Cardinals jersey said Big Mac on it. But I won it.
Nice.
I had a couple really special baseball cards. I remember I got it in a Topps pack. It had like a special card where you peeled off the front, and it was like a holographic Mark McGuire card. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited.
Nice.
I thought that was my best card. Really, I have a Derek Jeter rookie card that I should get signed someplace. But
Yeah.
He was my all-time favorite. That's a good nostalgia. I'm all, if this was South Park, I'd be all up in the member berries right now. Thinking about all the old times and all the good feelings of back in the day before all those sabermetric guys came in to ruin
Ruined
the
it.
game.
Moneyball. Fuck. Ethan, why Matt does his silly face, before you get into your things, or tell us your favorite player from the 90s as well. Did you guys attend your first Major League Baseball game in the 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what year?
96.
Was it a Yankee game?
Yankees, Mariners, they lost 9-7. Griffey hit a 3-run homer. O'Neill homered 2, and I think A-Rod actually homered that day.
Wow.
I thought I saw a Yankees-Mariners game as my first game too, but I'm not sure. I wonder if my dad would remember. I'd have to ask him. I want to say it was around 95, 96, but I don't.
Okay.
Sadly, I don't remember more details than that. It's possible I got brought when I was little, even littler too, and don't remember. But Yankees-Mariners sticks in my head.
Yeah, they used to play the West Coast teams like early on in the season. That used to be a thing.
Okay.
So if you guys went like, early in the season or something like that, like that's what we used to do, at least. That's why I'm thinking of that, because my first game was 95, so I got to see Donnie, which is a little nostalgic as well, even though it wasn't Donnie baseball from the 80s.
Yeah.
But real quick, Matt, your McGuire thing, I saw Mac hit, I'm pretty sure it was 97, so the year he gets traded, but he's still with the Athletics. It's like opening day of 97. I think it's Mo's first opportunity to save, like as the full-time closer, and McGuire hit a fucking bullet to the black seats in dead center field. And I just remember how silent the stadium was and everything, and I remember how jacked McGuire was, and he had that like kind of mullety long hair, and whatever, rounding the bases, and they had the dark green tops on and everything. But I'll never forget that homer, because it was fucking rocketed and the stadium just went so silent. So I'm pretty sure it was 97.
Nice.
I gotta find it. I gotta find the game box score. Yankees, Mariners, head history.
Yeah, so who's your favorite player of the 90s, Ethan? Why he's looking?
Yeah. So, it's weird. I was thinking about it while you guys were talking about it, and I don't know if I loved
Bernie, right?
Yeah, I would say Bernie, but I don't know if I loved Bernie the way you guys, certainly not the way you loved Nobby, and I don't know if I even loved Bernie the way that Matt loved McGuire, the way he was talking about it. It's funny, I inherited Donnie baseball from my dad. Right, even though I may have seen him live if I did go to a game in 95, which I think I might have. But if I didn't, I don't think I ever actually saw him live. And obviously 95 was his last year. We were only 5-6 years old. But Donnie there's always been a soft spot from there. You know how we often can kind of inherit favorite players and shit from our parents. But definitely it would have been Bernie, yeah, in terms of when I kind of just developed my own favorites. And I did love Bernie, but I didn't have like one of these kind of obsessive loves for him, which is interesting. Because I feel like most big baseball fans as kids do have that like one favorite player that they're like super into, and I loved Bernie, and then I had like random other players that I would get like kind of into for a time and things. But
your love kind of reflected the personality of Bernie in a way. He was very laid back, and just kind of a mellow personality compared to like what you think about a typical jock. And
he's a musician, so, a very good musician. Which I like. Sure. Yeah. But yeah, no, it would definitely be Bernie. But it's funny in thinking about all of this, right? There's kind of just like random assorted things. Oh, did you get the clip?
This is the
clip.
I'll show you when you're done.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. Well, look at those. I love those dark green unis and helmets. Right? It's great. Yeah.
And it was the Yankee home opener 97, by the way.
Hilarious.
Oh, you can see it here. Yeah.
So it's funny because like I think what got us onto this whole 90s nostalgia thing is randomly like Mo Vaughn came up or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then we've random other names have been mentioned that have like kind of brought it back, and for whatever reason, just some of these guys just kind of do it. Like Carlos Baerga, we mentioned earlier. I feel like Colin, maybe last time, or one of you mentioned Edgardo Alfonso. I think that's another one. So what I was thinking about, like, Kyle, you probably saw this. In one of Joe Paz's recent articles, he wrote something about how baseball is the best when we're 10 years old. And so I thought that was really interesting. And what I did is I pulled up like a page on 1999 Major League Baseball, because, we're all 89 babies, right? So I pulled up 99. And I just was kind of curious. I just like pulled up the Baseball Reference WAR leaders, and I just kind of wanted to look at some stuff, right? And obviously, plenty of names that are nostalgic, and a bunch of names we've already mentioned. But here's one: B.J. Surhoff. Remember him?
Yeah,
there's
Orioles.
one. Orioles, yeah. Okay, but here is something really interesting that I think is shocking. So now, it would be different if we went to Fangraphs, right? Because Fangraphs and Baseball Reference have different calculations for their WAR, and I think especially that they calculate their defense differently. But a couple of really interesting points to bring up. So, in 1999, on Baseball Reference WAR, the top 5 are people you would expect: Jeter, Bagwell, Robbie Alomar, Manny, and Andrew Jones. And actually,
Jeter should have won the MVP.
Yeah,
that
he
year,
should
right?
have. Yeah. Number 6, though, is a real shocker, and I don't think any of us would have guessed it if we had 100 guesses. It was a 36-year-old Randy Velarde.
Wow.
Yeah. Now that is because his defense was very highly valued by Baseball Reference that year. I mean, he had a great offensive year as well, right? But I just like
with the Angels.
2 teams. It says. Let me click in and see. I always think of him. Well, he was with the Yankees in like the earlier 90s.
And then he went to the Angels.
Yeah, then he went to the
remember.
Angels. So 99 was Angels and Oakland.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
he was on the 2000 World Series Yankee team.
Oh, okay.
Utility player.
Funny. Yeah, he's another one that like is very nostalgic for the 90s, I feel like.
Sure.
And then one other point to say. So, Matt was talking about the 95 Indians, and it got me thinking about that as well, because 95 is about the time that, we all would have been kind of developing a little bit more, and probably remembering more and retaining more, right? And so, again, on Baseball Reference WAR, the guy who led the major leagues, again, I don't think any of us would have gotten it with 100 guesses, 1995. And I actually don't even remember how to pronounce his last name. He played for the Red Sox this year. John Valentine or Valentin. Yeah, you guys remember him? He led the majors, was 8.3 Baseball Reference WAR that year, and it's because they really highly valued his defense. They gave him three defensive WAR.
Was he a 3B?
Was he a who?
3B?
Yeah, I think he was. I pulled him up. Let me look. Shortstop, third baseman, and second baseman. What did he play primarily in 95? I'm not sure. I wonder if he played a lot of short that year. Yeah, he played short that year. So yeah, because that would make sense for the D WAR being more highly valued. But I just thought that was like shocking. That he led the whole major leagues. I could not believe that. But then so some of the other names, right? I was just thinking about, okay, what were the names that bring me back to my childhood, and a lot of it has to do with like Yankees players from 94, 95, 96 on these MSG years we were talking about, right? So I'm thinking of people like Pat Kelly, who I remember my mom always thought he was very handsome. Tony Fernandez is another one.
R.I.P.
Great.
Yo, Matt, Pat Kelly is very visible during the 60-second homer celebration. He's on the Cardinals that season, and he's very visible, like in that pile of people who celebrate with Mac.
Well, and also speaking of that, bringing it full circle earlier, I believe Mark Grace was the first baseman for the Cubs, and McGuire misses the base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of all the homers
He shakes his hands
that year, right? Like that one barely skidded over the fence on left field, and McGuire was hustling, and then had to go back and touch the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Ethan. I needed to tell Matt about Pat Kelly.
Yeah, no worries. It's just funny how like just these certain names, right? Just like kind of trigger it for me. Another one I thought of was Graham Lloyd.
Down under. Yeah, I think he's the only Australian ever to win a World Series.
Oh, interesting.
Australian-born player.
Yeah.
I should specify.
Oh, funny. Yeah. But Yeah, it's just kind of funny to like think about some of these players that we haven't thought about in who knows how long, and how they like can immediately like transport you back. Like I can picture sitting on my floor in my bedroom with like my binders of baseball cards, or I can picture like sitting in the living room on the couch with my dad with like MSG, and I can imagine like Al Troutwig and Jim Cott,
Yes,
calling the game. Um,
yeah.
and all it takes,
Bobby Mercer.
yeah, Bobby Mercer, yeah, and it's just like you say Mo Vaughn, you say Carlos Baerga, whatever, and it's like boom, and it's just it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's get this clip going. I want to see this clip.
You want to see the homer?
Yeah, and then I found the box score of the game I saw, my first game.
All right.
I got seen 5 last year. He was primarily a setup man.
Oh, is that pre-cutter, Mo?
Oof. I mean, that was like the meatball is to meatball.
Right down the middle.
Oh
Mo.
my goodness, like Bell Eye.
It's like, have you guys ever seen the clip of Johnson versus McGuire in the Kingdom?
Yes.
And McGuire hits it to like the 7th deck.
Moon. Yeah. Crushes it. I'll see if I can find that for the viewers.
But so I was wrong. Unfortunately, my first game was not 1996. It was 1997.
Okay.
Give you guys one guess as to the Yankees starting pitcher that day.
Kenny Rogers.
No.
That was a good one though. Not Pettit. That's too obvious.
97. Hideki Arabu.
It was Arabu.
Fuck yeah.
Arabu started that day. He made it 2 innings. And
was it his debut?
No. His debut I thought was in Detroit that year.
I don't know. I'm just asking.
No, let's see if I'm right with that, because if I am, that's just nuts. But no, he made it 2 innings, then Ramiro Mendoza came in. But
Mendoza.
There's another one, Ramiro Mendoza.
Yep.
Mariners just teed off. I mean, Jose Cruz hit a homer that day. A-Rod hit a homer that day. Jay Buhner hit a homer that day. Ken Griffey hit a homer that day.
Wow.
For the Yankees, only Paulie hit a bomb, and then Tino hit 2.
Yeah,
that was Tino's 44.
I was going to say he hit 44 that year. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. So, the Yankees lost 9-7. Starting pitcher for the Mariners, Bob Wolcott. Never heard of him.
Oh, I actually do know that name. It is familiar to me.
Just some highlights from each team, right? Like, I mean, the Mariners they're pretty good power. Joey Cora, A-Rod, Ken Griffey, Edgar, Jay Buhner, Paul Sorrento. It's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah.
The Yankees, Scott Pose. Anyone ever heard of the Scott Pose?
Yep,
I don't remember him.
Luis Soho got the start that day at second base.
Okay.
Nice. Because Pat Kelly was sucking.
Charlie Hayes was at third. Wade Boggs was the DH that day. Chad Curtis in center field.
Oh boy.
Wow.
We didn't get to see Bernie.
Was hurt.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Girardi started behind the plate.
Yep.
Awesome.
In 3 at-bats, only saw 6 pitches. Way to go, Joe.
Amazing.
He was too happy about his triple in the 96 World Series. That would have been an out if it was any other player, but Grissom was playing so far in that he had to run like 30 feet to catch it. All right. So before I show this clip,
oh, wow.
You guys can see
Arabu died. Sorry.
Yeah, a few years ago. Yeah, it was sad. Yeah.
Yeah, really sad. It was like his baseball experience fucked him up. Not necessarily the Yankees in particular, but just the whole thing coming over to America and just isolation and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, super sad. So when I show this clip, you guys can we have the fortune of seeing the signals here, and if this is the only signal, it looks like he's calling for a fastball inside. I'm just curious as to where the pitch ends up before McGuire destroys it. So let's take a look. Yeah, it looks like it was the only sign. Not inside.
Not inside.
the cameraman just goes, I give up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Can't
I'm gonna
see it
I'm gonna zoom
anymore.
in on the second deck and hopefully catch it. Nope.
Wow.
Was that the same year? Did it say?
I mean the jerseys look the
97?
same, so
Yeah.
like that's a
And
king.
he-
Like that's a dome. That's very far away.
Seiko.
Oh man. Okay. Well, we're talking 90s nostalgia. You know what I watched yesterday that always will make me smile. I for some reason yesterday saw the Canseco homer off the head clip.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like for an athlete, Jose, that was very bad. Just for the uninitiated out there, a baseball player who was very muscular and very athletic, but terrible at the outfield, was going to catch the ball, completely missed it. It bounces off of his head and over the fence and was a home run. Hey, Scotty Brocious.
Oh,
Angel
yeah.
Baroa.
Look at what number he wears. I had no idea he was number 7.
Oh, yeah, how about that? He
And
was
I will
18
say
with the
I
Yanks,
was right. Hideki Arabu's first game was against the Tigers.
Okay.
In Detroit.
Yes.
When was that game? Was it like in April?
July.
Not Arabu's first game, but the game you went to.
Oh, July 26th. So
Oh wow. Okay.
it's only
So that
his
was late.
4th start.
Yeah, I don't think he got called up right away.
Yeah, so he pitched. It was the first game that he got pulled after 2 innings. Man,
Oh,
he's
okay.
stunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we traded him in 2000 to the Expos, right? If you're looking at his page, I don't know.
Let's see. Yep, 2000. Between 99 and 2000, we traded him. Let's see transactions.
Yeah. So I mean, he got 2 rings.
Yeah, not bad.
We traded him. Oh, come on. For players to be named later and Jake Westbrook.
Jake Westbrook.
Wow.
And
Cleveland.
those players to be named later, Christian Parker and Ted Lilly.
Oh,
Ted Lilly,
How
okay.
about that?
Yeah, that was a good one. He was a good lefty for a while.
Yeah, never with the
I always
Yankees,
think-
though. It seemed like after he left the Yankees, he got better.
Yeah, I always think of the Moose clip where he tells Torrey to like fuck off and get back to the dugout. I think Ted Lilly had that moment in Toronto. Whoever the manager was, he got like really pissed off, like a Trevor Bauer, who they're not the first pitchers to get pissed off, but just I'll never forget that either. Ted fucking Lilly.
Yeah, wow.
Ted Lilly made $80 million playing baseball.
God damn.
Dude. I mean, he was a lefty. If you can throw.
Yeah.
Dodgers, Cubs, Blue Jays, A's, Yankees, Expo.
Yep.
Yeah. It was Corey Lytle who passed away
Plane crash.
in the plane crash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that. Holy cow.
Yeah, crashed into a building in New York City.
Jesus.
I think he was like a similar type lefty that was on the Yankees briefly in 2007-ish, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Also, next to Scott Brocious is Angel Baroa.
Angel?
That's Angel Baroa. Yeah, that's another throwback.
Angel Baroa. It's a different Baroa because Angel Baroa came up in 2001 and with the Royals and never played with the A's.
Got it.
So that's a different Baroa. I was wondering because I was like, I could have sworn because I thought Baroa like won Rookie of the Year with the Royals, and he did, in 03. And so I was confused by that picture.
That really good season they had.
Yeah. Let's see here.
80 win season.
It was Geronimo Baroa. I actually do remember that name now that I see it.
Yeah.
That's an amazing name, Geronimo Baroa.
Yeah. This is the year where Brocious hits like 201 or something like it.
Oh, jeez.
And then he hits like 302 with the Yankees in 98.
Yeah. Crazy.
500. Oh my God. They just showed on the big screen Mark McGwire, home run number 27. I think he hit 58 that year between Oakland and St. Louis. 538 feet is what it says.
Holy shit.
I don't even know. Is that possible in a dome?
If you hit it far enough, yeah.
I mean, I feel like our distance measuring is a lot more accurate now with Statcast, so I take it with a grain of salt. But
right, I'm just saying in general,
Yeah.
though, is that even possible in a dome?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Real quick, Brocius's OPS plus in 1997 with Oakland was 53.
68.
53, way even worse. And then in 1998 with the Yankees, 121. So he went from 50% below average to
Doubled
20% above
More than double.
average. I don't know what the fuck happened. If the Yankees just hooked him up with some different kind of roids that worked better, or what?
I believe it's Yankees Black Magic, right?
Yankee Black Magic, yeah.
That's the Mike Schur term.
Exactly.
Look at
Yeah.
me quoting the podcast.
I know, very impressive.
Love
it. Funny.
Well, boys, I wonder, I am probably between the three of us, I know I am, but we all have a certain love for the classic rock era of music and everything, and I often wonder, what it would have been like to, actually been alive then and appreciate the music when it first came out and everything. And I don't know, I just feel like the 90s is like the classic rock era of baseball. And I don't know if you guys have that type of sentiment toward it all. And like Joe Paz says, anytime you're 10 years old, that's going to be the best. But I think like in terms of a pure decade and like what was experienced, Toronto winning back-to-back World Series, you had the Expos in 94 with the strike that we've talked about before and didn't get into today, the Yankee dynasty, all those great individual seasons, Mac, Griffey, Johnson, and everything, like bunch of expansion. Like I don't know, there's just something about that decade that.
See, I thought you were referring to lots of drugs and loose morals, but okay.
Well, that was the 80s for baseball. That was the cocaine era.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, steroids, that's a different type of drug, but
don't forget amphetamines.
Yes, yes.
Very important to the players back in the day.
Yes.
True. That's right.
I mean, I just wonder though, like if like Stella, for example, ever got super excited about baseball, like the three of us, would she look back at the 90s and been like, wow, I wish I was alive for the 90s because that was so fucking cool, type thing.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was interesting. I feel like 30 years ago is like kind of a sweet spot also. Like when we were growing up and listening to classic rock music, listening to music from the 70s, it was like in the early, it was in the aughts and stuff, right? So there's this kind of like 30-ish years ago that and now that's the at this point the mid 90s, right? Mid and early 90s. And so maybe there's something to that as well.
Remember though, it's ever evolving. Classic rock radio stations play Soundgarden and Ozzy Osbourne and Red Hot Chili Peppers these days. So.
Right.
That's true.
That's so crazy.
We old.
Yeah, I wonder, like, I've thought about asking my students, like, what they consider classic rock now, you know what I mean? Because I think the definition has got to be different for them.
21 Pilots?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Or Godsmack or something, Which I like. There were a couple Godsmacks. I'm not
the one who's so far away.
I really liked them for a minute there.
I ripped a CD from you, a Godsmack CD.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, me and my dad and my brother was young. I don't know if he would have been listening at that time
and
too.
Godsmack is just an Alice in Chains ripoff,
but a cool deeper
has a
voice.
Song called Godsmack or something like that.
So. Oh, funny. Yeah.
All right, so next episode we just do nostalgic music. Keep the train rolling.
All right. We did it.
All right, boys. Any other shout outs before you get back to your girls?
Carlos Baerga. Yep. Thank you,
no
Carlos.
mentions of Mo Vaughn this week, Ethan. I'm very disappointed.
Well, because he got lots of shout outs last time,
Yeah, but he did mention him.
I did mention it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you just said his name. You didn't really, you didn't really wax
poetic or rhapsodic.
No, I'm looking. I earlier stumbled across a photo of Mo Vaughn on a throne.
Oh, really?
But instead, I'm going to just, for everyone's amazement and enjoyment, I'm going to just post, because here, if I could sum up 1990s baseball, this caption to this photo for everyone who can't, to just move on with a giant sandwich. And that, to me, look on his face.
Where's he at? Like Carnegie Deli or something? That's
for
hilarious.
said giant 8-inch tall sandwich.
Amazing.
Held together, not with a toothpick, but with a shish kebab skewer.
Oh, that's so funny.
It was wonderful.
Oh, man. Yes.
Matt just left the party.
Yeah, I wonder if he did that on purpose.
You know why? Is because the share screen's right next to the leave. I almost did it like multiple times.
Okay.
When I was sharing today. So
I wonder if he'll come back in just to say bye.
I can't even do the "we are."
Yeah, you're right. You gotta. Yeah, maybe we gotta give him a few seconds and see if he comes back on, because he needs to do that for brother Jeremy.
Can't believe I did
there
that.
We go. Okay,
I can't believe I did that. I was waxing too much on Move On.
There you go. It's the danger.
All right, boys. Well, until next time, we are.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
I already said it.
He already said it.
Stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.